Another week in the Love Island villa and we can all feel the end getting closer and closer. 9 p.m. will never feel the same again for another year. Oh well, it's been a pretty nice week in the villa anyway. After all the drama with Georgia last week, things seem to have mellowed out a bit. Are Frankie and Samira a publicity stunt? A public vote saw Samira's first love interest Frankie and also Grace leave the villa. Although if I'm honest, I thought Grace had already left considering how much airtime she's had. This left Samira not feeling her best and probably a bit bummed out that she's not had much luck with love, and then as soon as she finds someone, the public decide to break them up. Nice move, guys. Naturally this ate away at her and eventually she decided to pack her bags and leave, but this does beg the question, did she do the right thing? Samira was such a big part of the show and an original member of the 2018 team, but she decided to leave for a guy who she barely even knew. I'd understand it if she'd been with him since the start, but I've got to say that her decision to leave shocked me a bit. Of course, Frankie well could have been completely smitten with Samira, but could have just as equally been going with an easy option to keep himself on the show. If he didn't fancy Samira and nobody else was available, what was he going to do? Just leave the show? Of course not. There were reports that he admitted to people close to him that he wasn't that bothered about Samira only hours before she left the villa. But then he made a heroic, romantic gesture to meet her at the airport so she could run into his arms, accompanied by a camera crew and God knows how many members of the press. Convenient, no? Anyone else smell a publicity stunt? Unfortunately, the curse of being on the show is it makes it very difficult to know what people's motives are, especially with relationships, and personally, call me cynical, but I think it all looked a little too staged for my liking. Samira is a hero and I think she should have stayed and given the villa another chance to make her happy. Enter two new lads, Karen and Idris. Goodbye, new boys. I just thought I'd give them a courtesy mention as I don't have a great deal else to say about them just because we didn't really see enough of them. Is Alexandra really into Alex, or playing a game? Let's be honest, Dr. Alex has had a rocky road with romance in the villa. I mean, considering it's a show about finding love and dating, Alex has got pretty far on it being totally and completely single. I think people were starting to think he might win the whole thing on his own. Anyway, new bombshell dropped. New girl Alexandra, who is already a social media established MUA and blogger. And wouldn't you believe it, she's only gone and taken the shine to our boy Alex and then went on to pick him in the recoupling, sending the two new lads home. Now, people aren't gonna like this, but in true cynical fashion, I'm afraid I have to read between the lines on this one. I'm happy for Alex, don't get me wrong, but a good-looking girl with an already massive social media presence and a business revolving around her social media as well as management. Before going into the villa, I checked, made the decision to pick Alex over the other two chiseled sculptures of men up for grabs. Perhaps it's because she genuinely has a thing for Alex, or maybe it's because she knows he's her ticket to the final and choosing one of the newbies would mean her packing her bags the moment the next public vote came up. You've got to remember, if she had management, they 100% would have been telling her to go for Alex if she wanted to get through. Is this the end for Georgia? I'm going to quickly comment on Monday, July 16th, night's episode. Again, one cynic's opinion, but I'm just going to leave that there. I know I'm cutting into next week's blog, but this is too juicy not to have a little mention. Georgia and Sam have been voted to leave by the villa, but in an unexpected twist they have the option to leave the villa as a happy couple, which they claim to be, or stay in the villa but be forced to split as a couple and date the four new islanders. If you ask me, I read the Sam would have wanted to hold his head high and leave the villa with some dignity and respect and give it a go with the girl he's been bonding with for such a long time. However, our shining model of loyalty Georgia thought the most loyal thing for her to do was to opt to stay in and get to know the new boys, which she seemed to be enjoying a little too much if you ask me. On that note, I'll say, when you're in the villa it feels like staying in there is the most important thing and you'll do anything to keep the party going. But people like Georgia failed to realize that leaving that villa in a positive fashion and have the last thing the public see if you be a positive and heroic gesture is worth so much more than just staying on a show that little bit longer with everyone just thinking you're a total BH. Personally, I don't see her lasting that much longer anyway, so I hope it was worth it for her. Jonny.